Tonight on Catalyst, Jonica Newby meets some New York shopaholics when she unwraps the psychology of shopping.
What makes you buy something? Find out as we investigate the shopping instinct.
Hello, welcome to Catalyst. I'm Graham Phillips. There's no doubt, for many of us, shopping is a serious business, especially here in Melbourne. But just how serious is it? Psychiatrists in America have started to realise that shopping addiction is more common than previously thought, and it's ruining lives. Jonica Newby hits the streets of New York and LA to find out how a harmless hobby can turn into a dangerous habit.
So, Jonica, this is my shoe collection. Wow.
How many shoes do you have in here?
Oh, there's probably 200.
So 200 pairs of shoes, $100 each, $20,000 worth of shoes.
Yeah.
That's a deposit on a house.
I know.
Shopping. We all do it, but beyond basic food and shelter, why do we buy?
Here in the US, scientists are exploring the power of the shopping instinct. After 14 years in New York, expat Australian Fiona Dadswell now shops every single day.
This is really gorgeous.
So what happens when you find something that you want to buy? How do you feel?
Excited.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's a rush. There's a very big high. It's a bit sad, isn't it, really?
If you think Fiona sounds like she's on drugs, you're not far off.
Check that out.
Shopping can cause the brain to release dopamine, the same pleasure pathway activated by food, sex and drugs.
It's cute.
But why would the brain be programmed to respond so powerfully to something so trivial?
There is nothing trivial about shopping. How much hunting and gathering does the modern man or woman do? That gene, that DNA, has been transformed into our shopping instincts.
What do you think of those?
I think they suit you.
There's also our ancient urge for attractive personal displays.
If I was living 50,000 years ago and I was not effective in being attractive to other females in the species, then my genes aren't around anymore.
And let's face it, there's a fortune to be made from tapping into those drives.
Thanks, Lynn.
Oh, my pleasure.
Happy holidays.
That's the goal of advertising. Here in Los Angeles, Dr. Joshua Friedman and Dr. Marco Iacoboni are using the latest brain scanning technology to find out which ads actually work.
Okay, the next scan is going to take about a minute and a half, so just hold still.
They call it, ominously, Neuro Marketing.
Well, I'm about to be shown a whole lot of American TV ads, and we're going to see what they do to my brain. And apparently, I may not be thinking what I think I'm thinking.
Okay, we're ready to show you the advertisements. I just want you to stay as still as you can and watch what you're going to see.
Don't drop the bags here.
Sorry, I'm going to have to take that.
Traditionally, expensive ads like these are tested with focus groups.
You just want. You're just going wow wow when you put the thing over the ceiling.
No, I'm not, sir. Buzz, we got a troublemaker.
But focus groups are notoriously inaccurate, and our brain responses are revealing why.
As a rule of thumb, people say almost the opposite of how they're responding. People tend to like ads that are relatively simple and unchallenging and don't activate their brains very much at all.
Advertisers will be horrified to discover up to 50% of ads make no impact on the brain.
What do you think about these American ads?
Well, I actually thought the middle one was pretty funny. I really liked it. Didn't like the car.
Okay.
So how did my opinion compare with my brain's? First up, the luxury car ad.
And in this case, your brain is completely silent.
So no response at all?
No.
But the drink ad hit me right where an advertising exec would want. in the empathy centres and the ventral striatum, my brain's pleasure centre.
A dopamine surge there, huh?
Exactly. We consider that a very good marker of, liking that product in the ad.
So that one nailed me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Neuro Marketing can reveal which ads might trigger a mission to buy. But what happens when we get to the shop? Back in New York, that's what fascinates Parko Underhill.
Our economy, if the only thing we bought was what we absolutely needed, would collapse. Over 60% of what we buy walking into a grocery store is discretionary.
To find out what sparks that unintended purchase, Parko is harnessing another branch of science, anthropology. Each year, his global company places cameras in hundreds of stores and tracks the every move of 30,000 shoppers.
Here we are, ABC.
Now, he's tracking us.
Okay, so,
Do you like that?
no.
I want you to note the use of the right hand. We know that in most stores, they work better with their counterclockwise circulation pattern that puts the grabbing hand closest to the merchandise.
The more time we spend in a store, he's found, the more we buy.
I like this here.
And to succeed, a store must seduce all our ancient hunter-gatherer senses.
While sight is critical, scent is seminal. Nothing is more repugnant than a bad-smelling store.
By analysing a store and making it more enticing, Parko's team routinely increases sales by 30%.
This is a place where you can fall in love with junk left, right, and center.
Okay, let's get this one. Perfect.
So with the best minds in the business, indeed our whole economy homing in on our desires, what happens when the love becomes obsessive?
I came home from work one day and my credit card was maxed out, my debit card was maxed out.
Shopping taps into such deep drives. For some people in these times of plenty, the dopamine stimulation is just too much. They become addicted.
My overdraft protection was maxed out, so I couldn't get any cash. My health insurance had been canceled, and I just spent $300 on a sale. And that was my bottom.
Professor Andrea Allen is a psychologist at the famous Mount Sinai School of Medicine.
Well, I think when people just hear the term shopping addiction, they just think of somebody who spends a little bit too much money, and they don't realize that people who are shopping addicted can really wreck their finances and break up their homes because they're not able to control it. So it's a very powerful thing.
A groundbreaking study last year found that 5.9% of Americans have a shopping addiction. But how do you know if your shopping hobby has become a habit?
So Fiona, are you nervous?
Yeah, I am actually.
Well, there is a clinical shopping addiction test, and Fiona and I have agreed to take it.
How do you think you'll go?
I don't know, honestly, but at this point I'm sort of bracing myself for the worst.
How often have I bought something in order to make myself feel better? How often have I felt others would be horrified if they knew of my spending habits?
Okay, I've looked over the results of the questionnaire, and Fiona, you do go into the category of having a compulsive shopping problem. It doesn't seem to be causing you much difficulty, which is an important thing. And although your shopping is very high, it hasn't gotten out of control.
I think it's just something I should keep an eye on then. How did Jonica do?
She's a totally uninteresting buyer.
But what if Fiona did slip over that line?
You treat behavioral addictions much like you treat chemical addictions. It might be 12-step programs. People might go to groups. They might go to Debtors Anonymous.
And like any addiction, the road to recovery is long.
Oh, this makes me emotional. It's funny. I got into DA in August of 2001, and about 12 days ago, I paid off my final debt payment. I feel proud of myself now.
Okay, here we are. Hi, Remy. Hi, Bobby.
Hello, look what we bought.
All the evidence points one way. The shopping instinct, trivial as it sounds, is actually one of life's more powerful forces. It really is a case of buyer beware.